answering your questions about top prospects, starting with, what is Jackson Holliday's power ceiling? Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On MLB Prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on in to Locked On MLB Prospects, your home for all things minor league baseball. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, award-winning baseball writer and podcaster. Thank you for making this your first listen every single day. We're proudly part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And I want this to be your show. If you have show ideas, segment ideas, questions for Monday's mailbag, tons of ways to get them to us. I'm on Twitter at Crosby Baseball. Show's on Twitter at Locked On Farm. We have a link tree in the episode description in the show notes. It has access to everything else, a subtext, Discord, all that kind of stuff. So today's show is an accumulation of questions that we've had about some of the top prospects in baseball. Starting off with Jackson Holliday. And what is the power ceiling for Jackson Holliday? He's a consensus top prospect in baseball, number one or number two, depending on who you ask. But then on your feelings on Jackson Chourio, right? And last year, as a reminder, 125 games from all the way up to AAA. It is legitimately absurd. Started off in single A, so Delmarva, Aberdeen, Bowie, and Norfolk. In those 125 games, 323, 442, 499 slash line, 12 home runs, 51 extra base hits for Jackson Holliday, 101 walks. I laugh because it's an absurd number of walks. 101 walks to 118 strikeouts and 24-33 on stolen bases. When we're looking at the power ceiling for Jackson Holliday, there's a couple things we have to take into account, and these things work both directions, right? There's things that are in favor of it improving from what we've seen, and there's things that tell us there's going to be a cap on it, right? He's listed, Baseball Reference has him listed at 6'185". I have not been able to confirm if that is legitimately, if that is the correct measurement or not. That is the same thing listed on MILB.com on the Norfolk roster. I have talked to people who have stood next to him, who have sat next to him, and said he's closer to 5'11", 165 than 6'185". And I think a discussion about Jackson Holliday's power ceiling, you're doing projection, right? There's physical development still to be done. He doesn't turn 20 years old until December. And the question really comes down to how much how much muscle can he add, or how much power can he get? Can he add to the profile that he has now? Because you saw the stats, 51 extra base hits, but 12 home runs. A lot of his production is in doubles and triples. I think he had 9 triples, more so than home runs. I think from a physical perspective, this gets more into the traditional scouting stuff. From a physical perspective, yes, he is the son of Matt Holliday, but Jackson Holliday does not have the same frame that his dad had. Now, his younger brother, Ethan, has the frame of Matt Holliday. Ethan is class of 2025, as I understand, and he's already 6'4", 195. He has the Matt Holliday frame. Jackson Holliday does not have the same frame, and I think at a certain point, there's only so much muscle that you can put onto a frame. Now, that doesn't mean he can't be a power hitter. There's Jose Altuve, Ozzie Albies, there's plenty of guys at second base that can do that. I think the other reason is, and this is obviously things he can work on, but when you look at what the batted ball characteristics for Jackson Holliday, that's where you can see why 51 extra base hits translated into 12 home runs. So the 90th percentile exit velo for the season was actually really good, 102.3 miles an hour. We've talked about you're looking for a 90th percentile exit velo right there, 101, 102. The MLB average is right around 102. So that is perfectly good 90th percentile exit velo. The specific issue for Jackson Holliday, and again, this is correctable, is his launch angle. A lot of the balls that he hits are rather they're rather flat. He strokes line drives, which is a good thing. You would rather a guy try to get line drives than necessarily always be trying to loft the ball like an Adam Duvall or something. But when you combine the inherent flatness of the swing, the physical stature and all of that, it's something where I don't necessarily know if Jackson Holliday is going to ever get anything more than average power. Now, 50 grade power, average power, usually translates to 15 to 20 home runs at the major league level. For comparison, above average power, 55, is 21 to 25 home runs, and 60 grade power is 26 to 30 home runs. If Jackson Holliday ends up with 15 to 20 home run power at the major league level, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. And I don't think that it takes anything away from who Jackson Holliday is as a player. One, in Baltimore as a lefty, you don't want to be trying to hit for a lot of power anyway because of the giant wall out there in left field. But Jackson Holliday's game is going to be really good on base ability, very good contact ability, and good speed. I think he's going to finish as probably a plus runner. He's going to be able to run batting averages close to 300, and he's going to be able to run on base of over 400 at the major league level when he's fully formed as a player. Now, when you're a player that relies on speed and some things like that, you have to wonder about the back half of his career. What does he do as far as what happens with the aging curve? But I think that Jackson Holliday is ultimately going to be fine. Let me give you a stat line of a guy that I think is a good, not perfect, but a good comparison to what Jackson Holliday could be. 260, 351, 398, 17 home runs, 40 extra base hits, 75 walks to 124 strikeouts, 38 of 47 on stolen bases. That is the 2023 slash line of San Diego Padres infielder Ha-Seong Kim. He was a Gold Glover, came in 14th in MVP voting, and I think that with a higher batting average, a higher on base, and probably a little bit lower stolen base total, 35 or so, I feel comfortable with, saying he'd be 35 of 45 or 35 of 50. That's probably what you're looking at for Jackson Holliday. If Jackson Holliday bats 290, 400, 450 with 15 home runs, but he also steals 35 bags, that's a very good year from a second baseman. I keep talking about him as a second baseman because we'll get into this more in tomorrow's show when we talk about top second base prospects in minor league baseball. I don't think he's going to be a shortstop. I think he's going to be a second baseman at the next level. But either way, that's not bad for Jackson Holliday. I just don't know, based on the frame and based on what we've seen, the characteristics of his swing, that there's significantly above average power potential in there. I think he's going to be a average power hitter, which, again, 15 to 20 home runs is perfectly fine. Real quick, Spencer Jones is a guy, there's a lot of questions about what is the ceiling of his hit tools. Reminder, last year, 117 games for Spencer Jones. 267, 336, 444. 16 home runs, 49 extra base hits, 49 walks to 155 strikeouts, and 43 of 55 on stolen bases. Most of those, 100 of those 117 games, came in High A Hudson Valley at age 22. So in the Yankees system, you feel like the Yankees system of any organization is qualified to take a guy who is 6'6", who has fantastic power, fantastic speed, and help them realize his potential by helping him close the holes in his swing. We know he can do it. We saw his swing and miss get significantly better, or get decidedly better in his final year of college competition. And so he's going to be a guy, he's going to strike out once per game. I think at best, you're not going to get it below that. But obviously, 29% is a little bit higher than you want. It's a 9% walk rate, 72.4% contact rate. And to me, it's a mechanical issue here. When you watch Spencer Jones, yes, he does sometimes struggle with the better pitchers. That short stint in Somerset showed him he's got some work to do. But I think a lot of it is there's mechanical holes in his swing because of his size. And especially when in Somerset, there was a lot of pitchers that were better at locating that could put the ball in those places where it was harder for him to get in and get the ball. A pitch up and in on the hands that was borderline you have to swing at, but he can't, it's too close to him. It's correctable. It's fixable. I trust the Yankees to do it. And especially in fantasy baseball, where I'm invested in Spencer Jones, he's too talented to write off this early in his career. Back to AA Somerset this year. I think if he's going to break out, this is the year he'll do it. But it's all going to come down to mechanical changes on the swing to make it more compact and give him better zone coverage. In just a minute, there's some conversation around the prospect apparatus as the Atlanta Braves look to make a trade to upgrade their starting rotation that A.J. Smith-Shawver should be moved because he's not going to be able to have that much of an impact. I want to talk about that next right here on Locked on MLB Prospects. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. You can score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time to get in on the action. The app is incredibly easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options. Spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get going this NFL season with FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. Okay, around the prospect apparatus, there's a little bit of conversation about the Atlanta Braves' top two prospects, A.J. Smith-Shawver and Hurston Waldrep, both right-handed pitchers, and how Hurston Waldrep should probably get moved above A.J. Smith-Shawver, and that if Atlanta is going to make a trade, as is expected now that Aaron Nola and Sonny Gray have all signed in free agency, that they should move A.J. Smith-Shawver to go get somebody. And I wanted to address that for a minute. Looking at what A.J. Smith-Shawver did last year, the major league stats, I'll acknowledge, are not, I'm not going to say not impressive, because it was a 20-year-old coming up and pitching at the major league level when he started the year in, I think it was high A. He was 1-0 with a 4.26 ERA, pitched a grand total of 25 1/3 innings, 20 strikeouts, 11 walks, gave up 7 homers. In the minors, started off in high A Rome, which is now the Emperors, high A Rome, double A Mississippi, triple A Gwinnett, 2.76 ERA in 15 starts, 62 innings, 79 strikeouts, so 11.5 per 9, to 33 walks, 4.8 per 9, and only 4 home runs allowed. So there's this idea that A.J. Smith-Shawver's stuff isn't necessarily that great, and he has a lot of projection to do before he can participate or be helpful at the major league level. And I wanted to address that real quick. When you look at the 4 pitches that he throws, there's not really a large major league sample of the changeup, so it's hard to talk about that. He threw 48 of them at the major league level, so it's a little hard to get into detail on that. This is all from MLB StatCast, from Baseball Savant. They have a really useful thing called a pitcher visualization report. And it goes and shows you a lot of different stuff. For the fastball for A.J. Smith-Shawver, averaged 94.5 miles an hour, touched 99.7. 13 inches of induced vertical break. In essence, on a fastball, different from everything else, the 13 inches is where it appeared to resist gravity by the carry up in the zone. It should have dropped 13 inches and didn't because of the spin. Now, the MLB average is 15 inches. So the MLB sample, below average vertical. Horizontal movement, it had 6 inches on average. The MLB average is 7, so it had below average as well. And that horizontal movement is towards a right-handed hitter. He's a right-handed pitcher, so running in on a right-handed hitter. The Stuff Plus grade, so you can go over and get that at Fangraphs, is a 90 on the fastball. For the slider, averaged 85 miles an hour, 32 inches of vertical break. It's a vertical breaking slider, very little horizontal movement, 2 inches of horizontal movement. The MLB average is 36 of vertical, so it's below average there, and 6 inches of horizontal, so it's below average there. Comes out to a 91 Stuff Plus. The curveball averaged 77 miles an hour, 60 inches of vertical break, and 8 inches horizontal compared to an MLB average of 53 vertical and 9 horizontal. So above average vertical break, below average horizontal break, but barely. Stuff Plus takes it to an 84%, to a score of 84, and that's off of a 100 scale. Like 100 is average, anything above 100 is better. So Stuff Plus doesn't necessarily love it, but I think there's a couple reasons why the MLB visualization report and the MLB StatCast numbers for AJ Smith-Shawver's stuff don't truly encapsulate how good AJ Smith-Shawver's stuff actually is. One, he pitched 90 innings last year. For context here, drafted in 2021, got 8 innings that year. Got 68 and 2/3 in 2022, all in single A Augusta. And then in 2023 goes from high A to the majors, again, pitches 90 innings. So significant jump in the number of innings he's throwing as well as the quality of competition he's facing. And AJ Smith-Shawver is a guy that was not a full-time pitcher in high school. He played multiple sports. And so fatigue is obviously an issue. But I think the other part of this too is a lot of the stuff scores, the Stuff Plus, factors in not only the movement of the pitches, but also the command. And AJ Smith-Shawver showed last year in the majors that he didn't quite have the command that he needed. The pitch, the fastball specifically, very good up in the zone. And I've seen minor league StatCast numbers that show significantly more than 13 inches of vertical break. I've seen 19s, which is fantastic numbers. And some of this comes down to the usage of the fastball. Some of this comes down to the locations of the fastball. So one is the usage. The fastball he throws in the zone 58% of the time. The rest of them, not nearly as much. Slider, 28%. Curveball, 31%. He's a total of 45.4% in the zone. That's below average. The average in MLB is 49.9. But usage on the edge of the zone. AJ Smith-Shawver, 39.9%. The MLB average is 39. He paints the corners just like every other pitcher does. The issue is where the misses are. So, and for those of you on YouTube, you get to actually see the visualization here from StatCast. But when you look at the fastball locations, some of these pitches have obviously like completely get away and they're way high or way outside. But a lot of these misses are over the plate, right? And so it's a very scattered pitching plot, location plot for a fastball slider dominant pitcher, right? The red is the fastballs. The fastballs are the ones we're talking about. All of the pitches are all over the place, and some of that's just going to be a 20-year-old pitching at the major league level. But specifically, I think that what AJ Smith-Shawver has to do is just get a little bit sharper with the locations, because the movement profiles on the pitches at the minor league level have been very good. And the question is more so the locations than the stuff themselves. When he's not significantly over his career innings or his season high in innings, when he's at the same level the entire season versus pitching in his fourth different level, which I'd like to add, different ball in high A than double A. He gets to double A with the tacky baseball. It rains, I think, in both those outings, and they bump him to triple A. So he's then with the MLB baseball. So 3 different baseballs. there's a lot of mitigating circumstances. I don't know if it's smart to count on AJ Smith-Shawver to be a full season member of the pitching rotation for the Atlanta Braves. I do think they still need to go out and get somebody, but AJ Smith-Shawver's stuff has showed us at the minor league level in Gwinnett, as well as at the major league level earlier when he first debuted before he hit past his season highs in innings, that he has the stuff and, more importantly, the work ethic, the athleticism, the determination to be successful. And I think he's going to continue to be successful. From what I understand, talking to folks within the Braves organization and folks that know him, he's been working since early November to be prepared for a starter's workload, as well as improving his stuff. Very high on AJ Smith-Shawver for next season. Again, I just think rationally counting on significantly more than 90 innings is probably not smart, and counting on any prospect to hold up over an entire full season when you're jumping innings or jumping inning counts is probably not the greatest idea. In just a minute, a couple quick hitters about some outfielders, including Lazaro Montes with Seattle and a couple different Rockies outfielders, Zach Veen and Yanquiel Fernandez. We'll get to them next right here on Locked on MLB Prospects. Welcome back to Locked on MLB Prospects. Reminder here, all of these top prospect questions came from listeners of the show. If you have a question for us, I'm on Twitter at Crosby Baseball. Show's on Twitter at Locked on Farm. All the ways to reach us in the episode description in the show notes. So, question about Lazaro Montes of the Seattle Mariners. Can he hit enough? So, reminder of what he did last year. 70 games, 3/line, and that's split between 70 games, split between rookie ball and single A Modesto. 303, 440, 560 /line. 13 home runs, 34 extra base hits. You're probably like, he's hitting 54 walks to 76 strikeouts in 70 games for Lazaro Montes, and strikeout rate of 25%. Now that is down from the 33% that he put up in 2022 in the Dominican Summer League. He had 74 strikeouts in 56 games. And the common scouting grade that he gets on his hit tool from everybody minus, I think, MLB Pipeline is like a 30, right? And the whole assumption is, and the whole thing about Lazaro Montes is the power's phenomenal. It's 60 grade power or better, but he's got to be able to hit more. And as he moves up the minor league ladder, as well as gets out of that fantastic hitters league there in the California League, he's going to struggle at the plate. And there's a couple responses to that. I think the first one is the power is so incredibly good that even less than perfect contact can be a productive batted ball event for Lazaro Montes. His 90th percentile exit velo in 2023 was 106.3 miles an hour. Now, some of that is he's a big boy. He is listed at 6'3", 210. He is commonly referred to as being closer to 6'4", 250. So he is considered to be significantly larger than what he's listed at. And the power to go along with that is real. And side effect too, so are the rest of the downsides. Speed's not great. Defense isn't great. His arm is big. It's a big arm. But it's something where he's going to be, he's almost at the point where he's going to be stretched in a corner outfield spot and could potentially end up having to be a DH. So we'll see what happens. But the thing here, the other part of this is the California League has some weird park factors results for 2023. Baseball America does these every single year. And when you pull Modesto, so the way the park factors are calculated is everything's pegged off of 100. Anything above 100 is above average, so you're more likely to do this in that ballpark. And below 100 is below average. You're less likely to do it in that ballpark. Batting average on balls in play in Modesto is 98, so it's close to average across baseball. Runs, it's a score of 83. You are 17% less likely to score a run in Modesto than somewhere else. Home runs, 61. So you are 39% less likely to hit a home run in Modesto than somewhere else. It is one of the lower and worst numbers in the minors. Off the top of my head, I believe the consistently worst number ends up belonging to AA Mississippi and the Braves organization. It's like below 50, somewhere in the high 40s. But Modesto was not a very good ballpark for home runs, for offense in 2023. And yet, if you remember from the show we did a while back, Modesto had a fantastic offensive year, especially late to win the title, and great team. So I think ultimately it's going to depend on what happened. Like, we're going to need to see in 2024, right? Because scouting reports say one thing, the production says another. He did improve the strikeout rate 8% despite facing better pitchers. So we need to get this answer. I don't have an answer for you yet. We need to see what's going to happen in 2024. I would expect him to be in high A. We'll find out from there. Zach Veen and Yanquiel Fernandez are two other guys that we've gotten a lot of questions about. For Zach Veen, a lot of people are out on Zach Veen. They are saying he is not very good and that he's always been overrated. And reminder, he did not look great in Hartford last year. He had 34 games there at the end of 2022, went to the Fall League, did well but didn't show a lot of power, and then struggled in 46 games in Hartford this year. In 80 total games in AA Hartford, 196, 287, 277 slash line with 3 home runs and 16 extra base hits, but 85 strikeouts. Now, here's the thing. Zach Veen had surgery for a torn tendon in his wrist. Supposedly, reportedly, that happened mid-year in 2022. From what I've been able to get from people who know him, it was around July 12th. Now, his performance, and granted he was in High A Spokane, but his performance before July 12th kind of bears that out when you look at the splits. Before July 12th of 2022, 283, 381, 480 slash line, 11 home runs. The rest of the season after July 12th, 187, 277, 241 with 1 home run. He tried to play through it. He tried to rehab it in the offseason. Still bothered him this year. Ended up having wrist surgery. Said he learned a lesson about playing through pain. He needs to be a little more forthcoming with as these things happen. It's a learning moment for the kid. He was 20 years old, 20 and then 21. But he is fully healthy. He's scheduled to report today, as I'm recording this on Monday, to Leones de Ponce in the Puerto Rican Winter League to play some outfield for the rest of the year. I'll update that if for some reason he doesn't, but he's expected to report to play outfield. We're hoping to see some power production out of him there. And then Yanquiel Fernandez the scouting report on him is power over everything, right? Slash line last year in 117 games, 265, 313, 486, 25 home runs, 53 extra base hits, 32 walks to 132 strikeouts, 1 for 2 on stolen bases. Almost evenly split between Spokane and Hartford, high A and double A. It feels like power over everything is pretty accurate. He's not a great runner. The arm is massive, right? So he can still play right field or left field, either one, because while the defense isn't pure, isn't crisp, the arm is so big that it can make up for a lot of defensive mistakes. If you're a step or two late getting to a ball and it drops, you can probably gun the guy out at second with the arm that he has. But no, it is a higher risk profile. He did struggle when he got to Hartford. 56 games last year, 206, 262, 362. Only 8 home runs, struck out 78 times in those 56 games, compared to 48 strikeouts in 58 games in Spokane. He is also with Ponce in the Puerto Rican Winter League. And last update on that, he's batting .238 with a .302 slug. He's got 1 home run and 2 extra base hits in 17 games. Another guy, going to see him back in Hartford and Colorado, is hoping that outfield is one of the best outfields in the minors, because they need both of these guys to, I'm not going to say pan out, but they need both of these guys to live up to their potential. So we'll see what happens there. More things to watch for in 2024. Fantastic week this week. Again, we're doing top second baseman tomorrow. If you listen to the first segment of the show, Jackson Holliday is going to be number 1 on that list, but stay tuned to see who the rest of them are. Also going to be reviewing some recent trades, or going back and looking at some older trades to see were the grades we gave out then, were they right or not? Stay tuned for that. In the meantime, remember, it's always a great time to pay a minor leaguer.